On the Metro, culture and arts take center stage.
I want this emotion behind it. I want this tone and whatever. So the whole thing that you're crafting.
When you go to a show, that's when you realize you're not alone, that you're suddenly with all these people that you resonate with, that you relate to.
It can be a real grassroots presentation. There's a long history within Detroit.
This is the Metro on 101.9 WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. II. Detroit has a new coalition fighting for its creative future. The Detroit Partnership for Arts Education is a cross-sector coalition supported by Detroit public schools, health leaders, philanthropists, and artists. Its mission is to connect more young people with music, media, and the arts. A number of leaders in the arts in Detroit are joining the partnership. Nafisa Simonette is the co-founder of Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts and is leading much of the partnership. Nafisa, welcome to the Metro.
Thank you so much, Kerry. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Another person who is stepping up is Detroit techno pioneer Mad Mike Banks of Underground Resistance. Mike, welcome to the Metro.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate you both for showing up. I'm going to start with you, Nafisa.
Yes.
So why do people need arts education? We'll keep it broad and simple.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here. I want to, if I could give you just a little snippet of what DEA is
Sure.
and who we are, and then, of course, why the arts is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So DEA is a collective impact initiative that is using cross-sector relationships in order to increase access and opportunity to the arts for young people. So K through 12, when we talk about young people, we're saying K through 12 students. And the reason why that's so important is because we know as arts practitioners and workers in the arts, and we also know through research that lots of different entities have done, that the arts infuses so much richness, development, mental health, stability, physical health and wellness into a young person as they grow, that it gives them the opportunity to have a voice, make decisions, be contributing members of our society in a rich way. We know that when we have strong arts and culture in a city, that it draws people to it, right? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we introduce the arts at a young age and we have those young people be a part of it as they grow. And we want them to grow and stay in Detroit, do their work in any industry, because the arts crosses every industry.
Do you feel like people often understand that? Because you say we know, but I imagine it's because you all are arts practitioners. But when it comes to explaining why something like this matters, I feel like you might be running up or bumping up against a wall where they're like, "What? Why do we need to do this?"
All the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you explain that? How do you what are the examples you use or the anecdotes you guys use to say, hey, no, this is necessary because we've seen this happen?
I could say I came up through Detroit public school system, and at that time, I think we was on the beginning of when the worker part. It's a system that was kind of designed to build workers. We had metal shop, wood shop for the boys, and the girls had cooking classes and like industrial cooking classes and stuff like that. But a lot of us found it in wood shop. For people that could draw good, art class was cool. But for guys that couldn't draw, you're more of a hands person. And a few of us found that, wow, I got a skill at woodworking, or I have a skill at welding or metalworking and stuff like that. So I had some great instructors, and I came from a family of workers, and the art of maintenance type of work, but that 2 years, 3 years of middle school, and the years at Cass Tech as an auto, learning mechanics, I saw people create really beautiful stuff. We had contests. You go to the state fair, you win an award, and the other guys in the class be cheering for you. And it was really a kind of do thing to, yeah, man, I know how to do stuff. You know, when you graduate from high school, like, yeah, I know how to do stuff. I know how to get stuff done.
How did that training, developing, using your hands, how did that inform, I guess, your ability to be kind of creative in arts? How were you aware of both at the same time?
I think what it teach you is how to start something and how to finish it. That was the most important lesson of the whole thing. The creativity part. Some guys just get it done, you know, they get it done, guys. Then other people, that's the art of getting it done. Yeah. And then, you know, then other guys were actually gifted, and you could see the gift in it. I was caught right in between the two. My mom taught art at Redford High School, so I recognized art because she worked with Richard Lewis. Ted Nugent was one of her students. He was supposed to be a real good artist, drawing landscapes. He was always, you know, Gary Arnett, who did the Made in Detroit logo. So I knew what good art looked like, and I didn't have that hand, but I had that finish hand. And I knew a straight line and when stuff looked good. And then I think one of the perspectives that kind of got me involved with this was I would watch my grandfather when we would be working. He did maintenance work. He was Mr. Fix-It. Fix your garage, fix your door, fix your whatever. Yeah. But when he would see some good work, he would stop and say, "Oh, that's some good work. That's beautiful work there." And, you know, we working in homes built 1918 on the North End, 1908, 1909. And you see the clawfoot bathtubs and the Italian tile. And he'd be, "Oh, boy, they brought some heavyweights in here." So I started to recognize that type of woodwork, that type of tile work, that type of plumbing, that type of electrical work when it was clean and well done. And he would always say it was beautiful. And it would stick with me. And I think that was the perspective that I brought to this team here. Most of our grandparents and older people, they wasn't classically taught in Western art. So when they see some good work, they, "Oh, boy, that boy do some good work. That's beautiful work you did there, son. Wow, you painted the hell out that car. Lord Jesus, look at that."
It's like the creative elements of
like
that.
The body man that fixes everybody's car. Right. When you get through, you say, "Man, beautiful job." Everybody can appreciate the body shop, but he's not considered a Picasso. So
this is why it's so important that young people are introduced to the arts. And to your point, your question about how difficult is it to help people understand this? The difficulty is in helping, like, we don't have to be convinced as artists and art practitioners, right? Like that this is important and it's necessary. The convincing comes when we're making an attempt to create these cross-sector partnerships, because what people, I think, don't understand is how much the arts influences their work regardless of the industry. Right. So, when we talk about cross-sector partnerships, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about transportation, we're talking about corporate. Every single one of these different industries, the arts has to be involved at the ground level in some capacity. And so we say to corporate, like, you should be investing in the arts because you're asking for innovative, participants or employees, right? You're asking for an innovative staff. You're asking for critical thinkers. You're asking for creative thinkers. You're asking for doers and designers in the auto industry, in all of these different industries. And I have to remind people all the time that doesn't happen by accident. We don't turn 21 and we flip a switch and all of a sudden we're creative beings. That happens when we're young people. So this is why the work has to be centered. It has to be important. It has to be. It has to be. Yeah. It has to be in this moment right now.
What is
for young people?
What is the ultimate goal of the initiative? What does success look like?
Absolutely. So DEA received, Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts, we call it DEA, received a National Endowment for the Arts grant. And in partnership with Kresge, supported the grant as well. We are convening. DEA is the convener of the Detroit Partnership for Arts Education. And the Detroit Partnership for Arts Education is meant to convene cross-sector contributors in order to establish an arts education action plan for the city of Detroit, K through 12 students. Mm-hmm. And as honorary co-chairs, we have the mayor's office on board, and we also have Dr. Nikolai Vitti, the superintendent of Detroit Public Schools, on board. And in addition, we extended lots of invitations to other areas like cultural heritage and legacy, which is why Mad Mike Banks is a part of the team. We extended to philanthropic community. We extended to young people. And so we produced this report called the Detroit Partnership for Arts Education, a vision for arts education in Detroit, where in it you'll see a vision statement from each of these groups or subcommittees, as we call them, because we have to start with a vision, right? Like you asked about goals, like what's the ultimate goal? We don't really know yet. We don't know what the outcome, the community is going to help us decide on what the ultimate goal is. What we're doing right now is just envisioning. We rest in a space of scarcity so often and so much we can't think about, what do we want something to look like 30 years from now? And that's why we started there.
Do we have some already visions? What are some of the visions
absolutely.
you all are?
Do you mind if I share?
Sure, yeah.
This is from the committee that Mike was a part of. This was the vision of Detroit cultural and music legacy. And just the first little snippet from it, it says, we envision a Detroit where arts education honors, amplifies, and extends the city's unparalleled cultural and musical legacy, ensuring that every young person grows up rooted in the creative traditions that have defined Detroit and inspired the world. In this future, every student in every neighborhood will have access to a dynamic, culturally responsive arts education that centers Detroit's legacy of innovation, artistry, and resilience. Arts education in Detroit can become a powerful bridge linking generations, traditions, and new innovations. Students will flourish by engaging deeply with the city's diverse artistic expressions, including Detroit music, Motown, gospel, jazz, blues, hip-hop, and techno, visual arts, fashion, spoken word, design, and industrial craftsmanship. Through partnerships with local artists, musicians, creative tradespeople, and cultural institutions, students experience the arts as a part of their living culture, not distant history.
I see. I'm going to reset, let listeners know who just kind of hopped into this conversation that you're listening to the Metro. 1, I'm Kerry Jr. the 2nd. 2, and we're talking about a new initiative aimed at making arts education more accessible for Detroit kids. The Detroit Partnership for Arts Education is the name of the organization spearheading this. I'm joined in studio by Mike Banks, electronic music pioneer of underground resistance, and Nafisa Simonette, director of the Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts. They're part of this coalition we're talking about. I think we have to go quickly to a break here because we got to come back and we'll continue our conversation. So we'll be right back on the Metro right after this. You're listening to the Metro on 101.9 WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. the 2nd. I'm speaking with Mike Banks, electronic music pioneer of underground resistance, and Nafisa Simonette, the director of Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts, about the Detroit Partnership for Arts Education. It's a new initiative aimed at making arts education more accessible for kids here in Detroit. So, Mike, I want to ask you about kind of the motivation for the vision of this work. When you look at Detroit teens today, what problem does arts education help solve? Is it building confidence, community, careers? What do you think?
It's a deprogrammer from the radio, corporate radio, and that's what UR was fighting against. We saw how the radio was programming people for complete disaster, for failure.
You mean like commercial music?
Yeah, gangster this, gangster that. Then when you get up to prison and everything, you find out you get squoze by a well-organized group of guys that make you pay rent in there. That's the end of the rap video. So, that's how it go. And if you follow the programming, you fit the system. So what I would like to see is people that have alternatives, the traditional teaching methods, obviously, is a few teachers try to reach out. It's real regimented, and kids need to know that graffiti art ain't a crime. It's art. And Banksy and Goldie and all these other guys can come and help with a class or lend in. Kids need to know just because your record label ain't the biggest in the world don't mean you don't fly all over the world.
And what does deprogramming look like? Is this getting kids together and learning to create
It's a
together?
real simple lesson. There's some brothers in this city that could talk to them kids and tell them what's going to happen to them when they get to prison. That's the end of it. That's the goal. That's where you want to be.
Get them to change their behaviors.
Or better. Better change your behavior.
How do you use music to do that? How do you use art to do that?
Start another subculture. Just simply reach out to people that know they're being programmed. Somebody got to know I can't listen to this all day long. They got to, and you put it out there. Detroit Techno started out real small, Music Institute. Derek May and them just, I don't know where they are politically aware as we were, but I saw what it was doing. When electronic music and house music and progressive hip hop was on the radio, wasn't having all this violence against gay people. And come on, man, B-52s was hot. B-52s was all types of sexuality going on with the B-52s, and people was loving the B-52s. We was listening to music from Europe. The palette was wide.
Right.
The violence went down.
It sounds like you're saying you want the art, correct me if I'm wrong here, you want art to be an expression, right, of oneself, not necessarily a tool that makes people conform into.
We need it as an option, as a strong option. The teaching curriculum has to open up to get more modern artists involved with the youth. You know what I'm saying? People that they look up to, that can come in and talk to them and help inspire them. Like I say, man, like you see the future coming. AI, everybody talking about AI. I'm wondering if that's being taught in the Detroit public schools right now. I doubt it.
So
you know what I'm saying? Obvious future,
yeah,
and obvious no response. So that means I don't want you to be a part of the future. That's what it means. You see it coming. It's all over everything right now, and we have no response. So that equals, failure.
I do want to, because you're talking about here a little bit about what we get in our schools and our education. And I know that education and the public schools are an important partnership for this initiative. It's about bringing this back to the kids that, as you're saying, Mike, they have this ability to express themselves and they learn what that actually looks like, not the programming that you're suggesting.
Well, I'm just looking at the future.
Sure.
Okay, who programmed AI?
Right.
When I try to put my voice control into YouTube, it puts out all the wrong damn thing because it can't understand my language. And I guess my language ain't part of the English language. You see what I'm saying? So who programmed AI? How many black folks from the city was involved in programming AI? So when that mug go to do facial recognition, what's it gonna see?
I see.
So if we not included, don't expect no hell of a results from it either.
I'm curious to know too how this initiative works with the fact that, there's a lot of people, not a lot of people, but online is a big part of our world now. Kids are always online, whether it's digitizing information through AI, or it's being online, talking to people online who you don't know. I'm curious how that affects what you all think is important to highlight for young people in the city of Detroit in terms of art, creativity.
It's important, but I think it's also really important that young people have an opportunity to engage in the arts in real life, in real time, right? Like instead of virtually, because it helps to grow that muscle. It helps to grow that muscle memory that we have with creativity, and that's really important. Like I'm moving my hands around because it's like Mike and I have talked several times about just the engagement, the hands-on work that happens, and I have to say that DPSCD has done a great job in, right, we know that in our past in Detroit, like the arts have been cut in the schools, usually the first thing to cut. Right. That's across the nation. That's not specific to Detroit. Yeah. But when Dr. Vitti came on board, he was very adamant about ensuring that there was arts in every school, and we have to give them credit for that work that has been done. And so currently we can say that in every school in Detroit that there is at least a visual arts or a music. And so you asked earlier about what's the ultimate goal? Yeah. We want the community to be able to help guide that. But one of the things that we really want to see happen is that it's not an either or, that it's an and, that we have both. We have visual arts, we have vocal music, we have instrumental music, we have dance, we have theater. We want to see all of those things in every school because every Detroit kid deserves that.
And I want to see kids that can answer the obvious, like, okay, Detroit, we famous for techno. No techno on the radio. Detroit's famous for cars. We're building 1,000 horsepower cars and selling them to 17-year-olds. Detroit is the center. I want kids to be able to analyze logically and ask the question, how is it that we don't have the National Automotive History Museum in the United States? Why isn't it in Detroit? We don't have it. Why is there not a quarter-mile drag strip here in Detroit? We're building 1,000 horsepower cars and we're chasing the kids around with helicopters because they bought a race car, and the city doesn't have anything there. When you do art, you finish. Yeah. You finish your project, and you analyze, and you finish. It gives you a mind to conceive, analyze, and finish. Conceive, analyze, and finish.
It sounds like you want us to embrace it more, and you want
we need finishers. We need people to get it done.
Get it done.
Yeah, we don't need a talking parrot. You could teach a parrot to talk. He sound like he know what he doing. I run into him all the time. Like construction guys get it done, but you can have a whole bunch of talking parrots.
They don't get nothing done.
Look what happened to the government. Yeah. A whole bunch of talking parrots, and my man just come in and roughhoused.
We only got about a minute and a half left. Sure. So with this little bit of time left, Nafisa, I want to ask you just a little bit about the connection, the resources, the access you all are trying to provide. I know you're trying to build a network.
Yes.
Can you quickly, 30 seconds or less, give me that?
As best I can. So DEA has convened several networks. We're working on several networks. We've convened so far the Detroit Youth Arts Providers Network. Detroit Youth Arts Providers Network. This is out-of-school time youth-serving arts organizations. We are also convening an Arts Educators Network. We will be convening a Youth Artists Congress and also a Teaching Artist Network.
This is for parents to know where to go so that kids can have access to these things.
And please go to our website to visit the Navigator so you know the opportunities that are available across the entire city, www.deya.youth.arts.com.
Excellent. Thank you both for joining me. Nafisa Simonette is the co-founder of Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts. We've got Mad Mike Banks from Underground Resistance. Thank you both for joining me and talking about this program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is WDT-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. Thanks for listening.